What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living in Ghana. I'm in Los Angeles right now. And if you want to know about Beyond the Return activities happening in Ghana December of this year, then this is the video for you. All right. So we are live on Instagram. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And for those of you who are joining on Instagram, all you need to do is click on the pinned link and it will take you to the live so you can see our guest. So we do have a special guest today. We're going to talk to her about the Beyond the Return activities and what's happening at the end of this year. So if you want to see our guest, join the YouTube live. In the meantime, I think I'll do a little bit of housekeeping for those of you who are not familiar with me. Actually, first, I was going to ask if you can hear me, but Manelik just let me know you can hear me loud and clear on YouTube. Can you guys let me know on Instagram if you can hear me loud and clear? I would like to know if you can hear me. And while we wait for you guys to get back to me, just let me know if you guys can hear me. This week is going to be a pretty packed week of content. I have YouTube shorts going up every day this week. And so there'll be clips from other parts of videos that are already live, so you guys can check those out. I'm also going to be posting some content from my trip to LA. I went to Legoland with my nephews. If you guys are interested in seeing that, I have all of that there, and you guys will get a chance to see that. And then I also have another interview with someone, and I'm not going to say who it is yet, but an interview with someone who moved to Ghana and moved their family to Ghana. And I think it's going to be really interesting. We had them on a live recently. And so I told you guys, if you guys want to hear their story, we'll have that on a separate video. And so we'll make sure that that's up this week. So on Wednesday, you guys will get the interview. On Wednesday, you'll get the Legoland trip, the vlog from that with my sister and her kids. And then on Saturday, you guys are going to get a chance to see the interview that I did with the person that I mentioned that you guys will see when that video comes out. Okay, cool. Dan Diablo, Disco Dan is in the building. What's up, Disco Dan? And Brown Coat Blue is here. Cool. So you guys can hear me. King Joseph joined on on Instagram. So you can definitely jump over to the YouTube live if you want to see our guest. All right, cool. So we're going to go over everything pertaining to Beyond the Return this year. I do want to intro our guest. I'm going to bring her on before I do the intro. Or should I do the intro and bring her on? I don't know how these things go, but let's start with the intro and then I'll bring her on. How about that? All right. So today we're talking to Ivy Prosper about the year of return. She's a TEDx speaker, TV host and reporter, content creator, social media manager for Year of Return and Beyond the Return at the Ghana Tourism Authority, and so much more. What else more? Let's talk about it. So one, she's an award-winning YouTube creator. She's recently become a part of the LinkedIn creator community or creator program. She's the author of the book, Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana, which is actually available on Amazon. I have a link in the description. If you guys want to read that book, you can get it there. And she will also be speaking at the YouTube Creators Festival in Ghana at the end of November. So with that, let me bring on Ivy. Hey, Ivy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Ivy has interviewed me. I've interviewed Ivy. We've had maybe 4 pieces of content on the channel now. She was my very first live ever I did on this channel.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch that live, Ivy's like, there's some comments. Put the comments on the screen. I went back and watched it. I was like, oh, how do you do that? How do you put the comments on the screen? Like this right here. Brown Coat Blue says the audio is good. So yeah, I really do appreciate you, Ivy, for taking the time to do this, because I think people are really interested in what's happening at the end of the year, Dirty December, or Year of Return, Beyond the Return activities, and who better to ask about that than you, of course.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So with that, I'm going to just jump into some questions here. And then, obviously, as the group who's watching, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And then if you're just a reminder for those of you who are watching on Instagram Live, there's a pinned link to the YouTube live. So click that link if you want to see our guest. Otherwise, you're just going to have audio in the background, or you're just going to see me. So you'll see me talking, and then you'll hear the audio. But if you want to see our guest, Ivy, jump on the YouTube live. All right, cool. So, Ivy, we met. When did we meet? Maybe was May of 2021. I think it was.
Was it?
I guess it was that around that time, May or June of 2021. And I guess you had seen the interview I did with. Who was the interview with?
I saw you before I saw the interview.
Okay.
You did an interview with Vanessa Camby, but I had seen your content before. The content that I saw was one that you did with your friend. There was a guy, I can't remember his name. Yeah, I saw that first before I saw the one with you and Vanessa.
Got it. So that was the 10 things I wish I knew before coming to
That's it. That was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That video on his channel has almost 100,000 views. So
wow.
Which is
great.
He
has a big audience, so
he does. My video has like 13,000 views. So if you guys want to watch it on my channel, not on his. Okay. So but yeah, no, that I do remember that now. Yes. And so we met, and as we were talking, I realized I should be interviewing you because you had the book, and because of what you have been doing for Beyond the Return, and because of what you had done on social media. That was why I was so excited about going to the Year of Return. And I had been following it afterwards, and it was you who was the one in charge of doing all the posting there. So and I'm glad that we're able to come full circle.
Yeah.
And we're back with the Year of Beyond the Return activities happening again this year, and we can talk to you about them. So I guess before we get into that, I do want to ask what your channel is about. For those of you who are not familiar with Ivy, we can start with that. Like, what is your YouTube channel about? And then can we talk a little bit about the LinkedIn creator program that you're doing? Because I saw that post on LinkedIn, and I see that you're being consistent there. So I'm interested to hear like what brought it about, and a little bit more about it for sure.
Okay, so for those who don't know, my name is Ivy Prosper, and I have a YouTube channel where I share stories on Africa and the African diaspora. Primarily, my stories are in Ghana, since I am based in Ghana. At the moment, I'm not there. At the moment, I'm in Canada until for the next few weeks, I'll be back in Ghana. And with the LinkedIn creator program, that is something that they're trying to boost the interest of creators in general on LinkedIn. The space for LinkedIn originally started off as a place where people went and put their CVs, their resumes up to look for work. Now, because of the creator mindset that we have around the world now, people want to see content. They're focusing more on using people's skill set, people who are skilled in creating content, to be part of their creator program. So I have a newsletter that I put out every week. It's called Live, Life, Prosper, and it's all about sharing my experiences that help to teach other people, to live life and to prosper. So I got into that. Somebody by the name of Terry Kojo-Apong, he is Ghanaian who's working with LinkedIn, and he's really trying to beef up them, including African creators, because their focus was mostly on Canadian and American creators, mostly from the US actually, but he is really trying to push them, adding more African creators. So I got to be one of the people added to the program, which has been great.
Nice. I just want to shout out Bobby Wright says, Ms. Prosper has a great YouTube platform I've followed for several years. Do you want to mention that YouTube too? So you've been on YouTube for quite a while, right? I remember we talked about this when we first met.
Yeah, I have. And the thing is, when I started it, it wasn't to become a creator and to be making content to, promote anything to the world. Because when YouTube started back in, I believe YouTube started 2005, 2006, around that time. Yeah. And at that time, it was like a brand new platform. People were just uploading videos, and it was just such random stuff. And I was actually using it originally to post videos for me to apply for jobs. So like when I'm applying for jobs in the TV industry, I posted video clips that were my demo reel. so that people can see what I can do. And most of those, a lot of them were unlisted links. I didn't make them public links because it would be, I would send in my resume and then send in a link so that the person hiring could see what I could do on camera, whether it was in front of the camera, producing or editing, they could see what I could do. So that was how I started it. And it was in 2011 when I actually started to post about Ghana, when I started to post about Ghana, but it wasn't, even then, it wasn't consistent. It was mainly posting because my friends in Canada and the States wanted to see what it was like. So I would just post random things every so often. And then it was in 2018 when I really was like, okay, you know what? I think this could be something more of interest. So I started to do more videos then. And then 2019 is when I really was like, boom, boom, boom. I got to really try to see what this is all about. I think it was after seeing that people really were interested in Africa, you know, that made me continue doing it. And I've continued to this day.
Nice, nice. And I noticed that a lot of the viral moments of Black American celebrities in Ghana, Ivy was right there as it was happening. So all these things that we were seeing, like Steve Harvey going, and what's her name now? I'm forgetting her name. She used to do a lot of CNN appearances. Angela Rye,
Yes.
all these people who've gone to Ghana, right? Ivy was always right there. So I think it's really cool. She's a cool job and allows her to be in these places with all of these folks and documenting their experience. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Fun fact, the Steve Harvey video that went viral, it was like a 2-minute clip when he went to the W.E.B. Du Bois Center. I'm the one that filmed that video. I filmed that video. And for those who are interested in doing content, one of the excuses that people often make is they don't have the latest equipment. They don't have, you know, something, they're like, I need this, I need that, when you can start with your phone. Literally, that day at the office, I had come from the airport and filming some other stuff that we had going on. This was during the year of return. Got to the office, and then I went to sit down. I was going to charge my phone, and I was told, you need to go and see Steve Harvey. He's at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center. You got to be there in less than 20 minutes. And literally, I went there with my phone, and I filmed that clip on my phone. And then when I posted it onto the year of return page, that video went viral. People downloaded it and put their own watermark on it. People acted like it was their video. I saw so many platforms downloading the video that I filmed and putting their logo on it. And, you know, a lot of the blogs in Ghana and media in Ghana just reusing that clip that I filmed that went viral. And that video catapulted the beginning of so much content on the year of return, just going and going and going and going. Fun fact and great memory for me.
Yeah, and I actually didn't know that was your clip, but it makes so much sense.
That was my clip.
It makes so much sense now because I've, you know, when you go to the year of return, the Beyond the Return site, and you see the pictures there, and I remember seeing those clips and like they were shared everywhere.
Everywhere. That was me. Instagram. Filmed on my phone.
There you go. So yeah,
and I see a comment there saying iPhones or iPads are great for shooting. It was a Samsung S8 that I filmed that clip on.
There you go. And also Shay TBD says Ivy Prosper is the best international Ghanaian YouTuber.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go. So a couple people are saying hi. iTuber says, what up though? Are you from Detroit? Because what up though sounds like a Detroit. That's how Detroit people talk. It's been a minute. What's up? And Fred says hello. And Kwame says authentic African and Ivy Prosper and everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
All right, cool. All right, cool. So what Manelik said, I really look up to you both, love your content, and hope to be like you when I grow up. Well, thanks, Manelik, of course.
Thank you. You can be like you.
There you go.
You can be like you, Manelik. You can be like you and do it even better. All it takes is
consistency. That's it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. I told you guys the first time I did my live, obviously I was really nervous, didn't know what to do. Ivy was gracious enough to join me for that live. I had no idea what I was doing, but that live has like 4,000 views. It's one of my most viewed lives. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I was just like, okay, I'm going to use StreamYard. I think Ivy, you did it.
I told you to use StreamYard. Yes.
Yeah, you told me to use StreamYard. We did like a tutorial like 15 minutes before,
Yeah.
and then we went live, and that was it. So, guys, definitely, if you want to create content, just do it. There's no better time than the present, too. Okay, on that note, okay, there's a couple people just singing your praises. Catherine Smith says, love Ivy Prosper's channel, very professional and interesting. Yes. Okay, cool. All right, so I know you do some writing as well, because we've done a couple interviews. I know that one didn't actually come out, but you write you do some freelance writing as well too, right?
I do some writing. I have some, I'll call it some ghost writing. There's some stuff that I've done that I don't really talk about, but I have written speeches. I have written some brochures for some high profile situations.
Sure.
Yeah, I have written speeches for people at top level that people wouldn't even realize I'm the one that wrote the speech.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do some writing and other things, other consulting and stuff that I do as well. Yeah.
So quick question before we move on. I think you say Buana. Are you guys both in Ghana right now? Do you want to answer first?
Well, for me, I am currently in Canada. I had put up a video on my page recently talking about that I had some health challenges that I was managing. I am in Canada. I will be back in Ghana very soon. Next month, actually, November, I'll be back in Ghana, back in the thick of things. I really miss Ghana, like really miss Ghana, you know, and I can't wait to get back into the thick of things. Yeah.
Nice. And I am in Los Angeles. So King Joseph just said, good evening. I'm watching from Los Angeles. I'm up in the house. What's up, King Joseph? Yeah, I'm in LA as well. So I don't know if you guys remember last week on the live, I had to catch myself because I was starting to say I'm going to be in LA this coming week. And I forgot that I was surprising my nephew for his 16th birthday. And I'm just talking like, yeah, I'm going to be in LA. And I'm like, luckily, he didn't watch the live because he had exams last week and he was focused on studying. So nice job, Jaden.
That's funny.
But yeah, I caught myself and I was like, I'm going to tell you why I caught myself mid-sentence next week. So that was what it was. So I surprised him on Friday. I landed and went straight to his birthday party. I was a little late, but I caught him. You guys will get to see all of that. That's going to be in a vlog that comes out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it was a great experience catching up with him for his 16th birthday. I cannot
16 is big.
It is big. And it also reminds me how old I am because he was born the year I graduated from college. So yeah, that was a reminder. I was like, oh, okay. Because he was like, yeah, the one and only time I was in New York was when I was a baby for your college graduation. I was like, oh yeah, right. And you're 16. So, but it was cool. It was great. Meeting his friends. He has like a really cool entrepreneurial friend. They had a really good time. Anyway, that'll be a vlog for a later time. Okay, so I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but how did you get involved with the Tourism Authority and the Year of Return and Beyond the Return activities?
Okay, so this is a testament to why people should just tell their stories, why people should just post, why they should just do it. So I was already, as I said, posting about Ghana. I was already telling stories on my personal social media pages. I published my first book about Ghana in 2018. So Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana, the first edition was published in 2018. The second edition was in 2019. So the first edition I had published before I started working at Year of Return. So they had already been seeing what I've been doing online. And someone that I knew there had recommended that, they give me an interview, try to give me an interview because they were looking for somebody to help manage their social media because they really didn't have anyone managing it. It was somebody in the marketing department who was doing it on top of other things he was already doing. So there really wasn't focus on it. It was like an afterthought. When I went and analyzed their page, there was like, you would see a post and you wouldn't see another post for 2 weeks. There wouldn't be another post again on their Instagram for like maybe 3 weeks, and so it wasn't consistent, so it wasn't garnering the traction that it needed. So I got an interview based on people seeing what work I had been doing already on my own. And then I went in the interview and I ended up getting the job. So basically, whenever you're posting on your own pages, it's all about what you're already doing to be able to show that you have the capacity to do something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the simple story.
Nice. Okay. And so so everything you guys have seen that's been reshared and reposted has come from the work of what Ivy has been doing. Okay,
I see a comment here.
Yes.
Can I address it? It's a Dan Diablo about starting YouTube.
Yes.
Can be mentioned there?
Yeah, Dan Diablo. He always has interesting questions. So yeah.
Okay. So Dan Diablo says, Ivy, you started taking YouTube serious around the same time as Vanessa Camby. How come your subscribership have not mirrored hers and others? So I have been working at the same time as doing YouTube. So even when when I started doing YouTube 2018, when I started taking it a little bit more serious, I was working as a documentary film producer. So I work for a documentary film company, and as a producer, producing projects, that was my first thing I was doing. And then my personal stuff was the afterthought. And then after that, taking on my job at Year of Return, Ghana Tourism, my job full time, and then trying to do YouTube on the side. Vanessa has been doing YouTube 100%. She doesn't have another job. All she does is YouTube. That is her job, is YouTube, morning to night. That's what she does. So she would come to Ghana. Before she moved to Ghana, she would come to Ghana and she would spend like 1 or 2 weeks, and all she would do is film from morning to 7 a.m. to like 7 at night, whatever. She would be filming back to back. Then she would go back to Scotland and she'd be editing and just editing and editing and editing. So she was that's her full time. I'm balancing working with doing it at the same time. So I think that growth can happen easier when you're not trying to balance two things. I'm not saying it's impossible, because there are people who have the capacity to be able to do that at the same time, but it is difficult managing. And I know that Joe can speak to it, because he also works full time while also trying to grow his YouTube channel. And it's exhausting, because you're like one human being trying to do, multiple things, and it can get really exhausting. So that's the main thing, is when it comes to YouTube, if you can dedicate 100%, then you can just fly. Just like that's what Amaya, like that's all he was doing. Once he left his job, he told me once he left his job and he was able to focus on YouTube, that's when the exponential growth happens.
100%. And I can just say I'm nodding my head all along, because I know the struggle, especially working in Ghana. I don't think people understand how much time and energy goes into working full time in Ghana. I've experienced that for a full year. And when I met Vanessa Camby, by the way, she did mention that she was doing 3 videos a week throughout that time, right? And so that was what led to her exponential growth. Prior to that, she hadn't been doing that many videos a week. And because she was doing it full time, she could dedicate all those hours to editing and posting.
Yeah.
I try to do 3 videos a week, and I have no life, right? 0 personal life. Okay. Yeah. So it is very, very difficult to be able to post that consistently. But anyway, that was a little bit off topic, but I did just want to add my 2 cents there, because it is much harder than you might think.
I know people don't realize how hard it is.
Yeah. I mean, just start a YouTube channel and that's it. I mean, when you start a YouTube channel, but it's important to know that, because I do believe that if you want to, you should, but I also want to make sure that people understand how much work goes into it. It is another full-time job. You're working completely 2 full-time jobs. So just keep that in mind, guys. Okay. There's a couple different things that people are saying before we move on to my next question for you, Ivy. Buana says, Authentic African, you do a great job at interviewing. This is your lane, brother. And Ivy has been doing great work. Well, thank you. And of course, Ivy has been doing great work, obviously. Then Christabella says, I enjoyed Ivy's interview with Jules.
Thank you. It was Jules. So Jules has a company, AIM, which is Africa and Me. He has a clothing line that is all about promoting Africa to the world. He has a store in Toronto, and so I went to his store and we did an interview in the shop, and he told his little history about his involvement in Ghana and being on the radio, and up until now what he's doing. He's doing great things. I thought the video would get more views, but it's like I'm so surprised that, because I love his story, but I'm so surprised that it didn't get as much traction as I hoped.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's awesome that that's what they're doing. And that just shows how much I listen to rap music, because I see Jules spelled like that, and I think of Joel Santana from Dipset. For those of you who listen to rap music from the early 2000s, that's what I'm thinking when I see that name. Okay, but Jules, got it. All right, really quickly, let's run through some of these before I can actually ask you some questions. I don't want them to be too far gone by the time we get there. Content creation is a lot of work, takes a lot of time. You're right. iTuber says blame the algorithm. Who knows? I think we already answered why it was the way it is. King Joseph, I think presently working to improve my YouTube channel. Yeah, just be consistent. The more consistent you are, the better you get, right? And you obviously want to learn from other people, right? Don't just be mindlessly posting, but learn to see what titles are getting, because you can look at your I know this is not a YouTube tutorial, but since a couple of you are content creators, you can look at your analytics and you can see what your click-through rate is, CTR, click-through rate. And so that's going to be based on your thumbnail and your title, right?
Yeah.
And that shows how many people who it shows up in their feed who actually decide to click on it. You should optimize based on that. You see that something's working, do it based on that. And then there are other ways that you can see what works, right? I'm starting to learn that if I do why I moved from X to Ghana, that is where I see the most engagement. So now
people are interested in that.
Yeah, people are really interested in that, and that's why I'm doing a lot more interviews, and you'll see many more interviews on my channel over the next weeks. That's actually going to be exclusively one day a week is going to be about interviews with people, because that is really
awesome.
what that's how people are engaged with my channel. And then of course, if I do Nigeria content, which you guys, some of you know, I got ripped to shreds about a piece of content I did about my trip to Nigeria. That's a conversation for another time. But yeah, we'll talk about it later. Ivy was crazy. Okay, so Fred says Ivy is a superstar.
Thank you, Fred, for all your support. I appreciate you.
Okay, let's see. iTuber says update that faster citizenship process law in Ghana.
I have no updates on it. I have no updates on it. That is the what's it called again? I'm drawing a complete blank now. But it's an act that they're trying to put through to help people from the diaspora get citizenship faster. It's been in Parliament for a long time. It's been locked in Parliament for a while. So I don't have any updates on it, unfortunately.
And this is, you can tell iTuber is a great subscriber, because this actually came from the last conversation that Ivy and I had, because we talked about this a little bit about some of the people who came for year of return and got their citizenship. And we talked about that there was this I guess it was soon to be law. Hopefully one day it'll be law. And it was about making it more expedient. Okay, cool. All right, let's get back into some of my other questions. Okay. So we talked about how you got involved with the year of return. I do want to ask this, because I think it's really important. When people think of Beyond the Return and the year of return, all they think about is like Afro Nation and Afrochella. And I thought it was important to bring you on, because when we first talked, you talked about the tenets of the Beyond the Return, and I had no idea about it. And I think it's important for the group here to hear about it. So can you talk through, is it the core tenets of Beyond the Return, so people understand what is all involved, and it's not just Afro Nation and Afrochella, but there's so much more to it?
Mm-hmm. So Beyond the Return is basically the follow-up to Year of Return. And the theme so first of all, I'll start with Year of Return, because there could be people who've joined this live and maybe it's their first time watching and maybe they don't know exactly what it is, because there's a lot of people who really didn't know. They just thought it was parties all the time. So Year of Return basically was commemorating the 400-year anniversary of the first documented ship of enslaved Africans that arrived in the United States in Virginia. And in commemorating that, when Ghana commemorated that and welcomed the diaspora community to come and visit Ghana, part of the visiting, they created the calendar of events for the purpose of, when people come, they have something to do. So basically it's like you're coming for historical reasons, you're going to visit some sites, and then also to have some things that you can do to enjoy while you're here on the trip, while you're in Ghana on your trip. And so that calendar of events was created. And then it just really took off. And so for December, we launched December in GH because already Ghanaians come to Ghana every December historically to visit friends and family, those who live abroad. But the added element of the diaspora coming, push the idea of launching the December calendar of events. So there are events that happen the whole entire year, but December has a lot more events because more people are coming to town. And then we have an official calendar that we release for the public so people know what's going on when they come and plan their trips. So Beyond the Return is, so somebody's asking, will there be another Year of Return? Year of Return was 2019. So what I was explaining is it commemorated the year 1619. So 2019 was a 400-year anniversary. There is not another 400-year anniversary again. So there is not another Year of Return. The Year of Return was in 2019, but we still work on the social media pages because a lot of people follow those pages. So I still work on those pages. And a lot of the content I put there are like throwbacks, or I add content from Beyond the Return. So let me move on to Beyond the Return now. Beyond the Return is the follow-up, which happened because people after Year of Return kept asking things during Year of Return. So what's next? What's going on? Are you guys going to do this again? We've come and visit. Now what? So there are 7 pillars for Beyond the Return, which are the foundation. And the overall theme is a decade of African Renaissance. So it's an entire decade of Beyond the Return, a decade of African Renaissance. The 7 pillars of Beyond the Return are Experience Ghana, Celebrate Ghana, Brand Ghana, Give Back Ghana, Diaspora Pathways to Ghana, Promote Pan-African Heritage and Innovation, and Invest in Ghana. So those 7 pillars are the foundation of Beyond the Return. Now, all of the events that are on our event calendar that are officially endorsed, each one of them has to align with one of the pillars at least. So all event organizers have submitted a formal proposal to the office. And in their formal proposal to the office, they have to state how their event aligns with one of these pillars. So for example, he mentioned Afrochella. Afrochella aligns with the Experience Ghana pillar. So the Experience Ghana pillar is all about experiencing the country through tourism, through events, those things that people know about, the events, the concerts, activities. That's Experience Ghana. So he's on the web, showing you the website now. So the Invest in Ghana is about investments in the country. So there are events that we've had throughout the year where there's like conferences that people can go to and have discussions about, investing in the country, learn about opportunities. So Invest in Ghana is a big pillar. Diaspora Pathways to Ghana is one of the pillars. That one is all about connecting the diaspora and finding ways for the diaspora to get residency, to move to the country for citizenship. And that's where that Homeland Return Act, that's what it's called. That's where the Homeland Return Act falls under, that they're working on to get it passed to make citizenship faster. Celebrate Ghana is the pillar that focuses on more of the traditional stuff. So tends to look at things that tie into the culture of Ghana. I know that, and Afrochella falls in line with that as well, because they also talk about celebrating African culture. So with Celebrate Ghana, it also includes traditional festivals, because we had a lot of people who would ask about, well, what about some of the cultural things that happen in Ghana? And so we also endorse events that are related to the culture and traditional heritage of Ghana. So for example, last year we endorsed the Damba Festival, which is in Tamale in Ghana's northern region, and is a very cultural and traditional festival celebrating the chiefs in that region. And then there's Brand Ghana, which is about branding the country. Just like when someone's going to, if you think about Paris, you think about Eiffel Tower. If you think about London, they think about, the Big Ben, the clock. Think about New York, they think about the Statue of Liberty. So it's like branding Ghana in a way that people think about something specific when they think about Ghana. So that's working towards branding the country. Give Back Ghana is about finding ways to give back to the community. Events and activities that we do to partner with organizations or partner with people in the diaspora who want to do things. So, for example, Fuse ODG and Shaka Bars partnered with us in 2019, and in 2020 there's a school that they were working on in the Akosombo area, and we helped them with painting the school and giving some books to kids. Then there was an organization, the D9 out of the US. They have their fraternities who came together to do boreholes for the community. They've done, I think, over 50 boreholes across Ghana. So that was Give Back Ghana. And then there's Promote African Heritage and Innovation, which is all about promoting Pan-Africanism and also the history and heritage. So learning about some of the historical sites that people don't often talk about. So people always know Cape Coast and the dungeons there and Elmina dungeons there, but this is also about promoting other places in the country, like in the northern region. There's Upper East region. There's like the Piquoro slave camp where people were captured there at a point in history as well. There's other places in the country that people can go and see. So it's about promoting history and heritage in other places as well. I think that's it. I think did I go through all of them?
That
Yeah.
was it. You went through all of them.
Yeah. So those are the 7 pillars of Beyond the Return. So if you have an event and you want to submit your event idea and you email our office to submit your idea, you have to have it aligned with one of those pillars. Also, you have to prove that you're a legitimate event organizer, because what we found is people would submit ideas and then they don't really even have a proper business idea. They don't know how to put it together. So in filling out the information, you have to prove that you actually can put on this event, right? Because if we're partnering with you, our name is at stake to partner with somebody. And if it flops, it looks bad on us as well. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Very thorough answer. Absolutely. So iTuber12 says, "Good morning, America. Had a whole episode on Ghana recently. I wonder if the Black Panther release helped to boost the interest in Year of Return. Perhaps part 2 will boost Beyond the Return as well. Maybe. I don't know.
Perhaps. I know that the Good Morning America segment was largely because the Global Citizen Festival happened in Ghana, in Accra. The Global Citizen Festival happened concurrently on the same day in New York City and in Accra. The show in Accra featured Usher as the headliner. And with that happening at the same time, that's why Good Morning America came to Ghana at the time they did. They covered the Global Citizen Festival, and then they also stayed for an extra week, I believe it was, to cover things in Ghana. They even went to my office. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but they even went to my office and did the bus tour and stuff. So it's pretty cool seeing Ghana get on the global stage like that. And I do think that Black Panther will, push a little bit more interest in the continent, not only for Ghana, but for the entire continent's potential for tourism.
Agreed. All right, cool. Sharon Gooding says, "Hello, everyone." Anthony says, if an event would have changed or is postponed, will it be updated on the website?
Yeah, it would be updated. I'm the one that I don't update the website. Well, the website I don't think we have the events posted on the website yet, but they're posted on our social media pages. And if something changes or postpones, yeah, I typically update it as long as the event organizer has informed me that they're making changes to it. If they don't tell me, then I can't possibly make a change without being informed. But I've already started posting events on the Beyond the Return and Year of Return pages. I've created some Facebook event pages so that people are aware of what's coming up, so that people can start planning ahead for events they may want to attend.
Nice. And I just posted in the chat beyondthereturngh.com. That's the website that I was just showing, that is being referred to by Ivy and Anthony here. Okay, cool. And Kofi says, "This is so educative. Good job, guys." Well, I'm happy that you found it as such, because that is the goal. So good. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, this is a good question. iTuber is saying, "May I ask, what is the organization behind this? Is it a Ghanaian company, owned by who, or a government initiative through a Ghanaian ministry?" I know the answer, but please.
The Year of Return and subsequently Beyond the Return is an initiative that is under Ghana Tourism Authority, which is under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. So it is essentially an initiative that is done by the Ghana government and operating Yeah, it's and a brand operating under the Ghana government. So it is a government initiative. Um, that's the simple answer. It's not a private company. It's not it's not a private company. It's not a nonprofit organization. It is a government initiative.
Which I think is great. I think more governments need to focus on things like this, right? I mean, taking a proactive approach to bringing people in. I love the 7 pillars. I thought that that was really huge. And you see the images of the people who came, and it's interesting. Like, when I first came to Ghana, I went to the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, right? And when I went, I learned about how, as the first president of Ghana, he did a great job of bringing the influencers of the time, very different from our influencers now, but influencers of the time, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Maya Angelou, to Ghana, and them sharing their experiences and learning about Ghana. And it's interesting to see it kind of come full circle with like some of the folks who are those kinds of sort of influencers today. You mentioned you guys did some stuff with Shaka Bars, Steve Harvey, people who have voices in the diaspora that have come. I think more countries on the continent of Africa need to do that. I'm speaking specifically to my country. We need more of that. We have Idris Alba, but that's it. And so we need more of it in
And we
Sierra
have
Leone.
him too, because he's half
I
and
know
half.
he's half Ghanaian. Yeah, I know. And nobody ever knows he's half Sierra Leonean. But yeah, he is half Sierra Leonean as well. So he's obviously, more people know that he's Ghanaian than he is Sierra Leonean. But yeah, I mean, there's so many people who aren't even Ghanaian. Like Jadena was there. He's obviously Nigerian, and he's a proud Nigerian. And a few other folks who are Black Americans who had come. I remember the first time I saw, I think it was that picture that you saw on the site. There was Anthony Anderson, Michael Jai White, Steve Harvey was there, all those folks. And I think that's, I mean, obviously it's impactful, right? It gets people to understand like a lot of people are going there for something, even if you don't know what it is, right? It's drawing attention to it. Anyway, yeah. So I thought that's really cool. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I think iTuber says that's great. Ghana is killing it with PR right now. Sierra Leone, take note. Hopefully the CD levels out. There's a couple things there. Yes, as Sierra Leone needs to take note. We're working on it.
There's a comment that I want to address from Dan Diablo.
Okay. Do you want to do the one about the Lanza 75? Okay, let's pick that up.
Yes. So Dan Diablo says, Lacia 75 has accused you of being biased due to your position at year of return. Speak on that, please. I don't know if she's talking about me on her channel. I have no idea. I've not watched her content in since 2020. I haven't watched her content, so I don't know what specifically she's saying. But I mean, what is my bias? Because I did say, I don't know if you were on the live before, if you came from the beginning or if you jumped in the middle, I'm not sure. But I did say that I had already been posting about Ghana. I had already been promoting Ghana before I started working at Year of Return, before I started working for Ghana Tourism Authority. I've already been promoting the country. I remember one of my biggest videos I did before I started working there in 2018. I think I had 7 negatives of living in Ghana and 7 positives of living in Ghana. One of the things that I pride myself in doing is on my channel is, yes, I do some positive stuff, but I also present the other side as well. People talk about people glamorizing or glorifying Ghana and stuff. And I think there's nothing wrong with somebody deciding to choose to glorify the country or to be positive about the country. People are positive about the United States of America for decades, even though the United States has a lot of negative things about it. And nobody says, oh, why aren't you saying this bad stuff that's happening in America? So for example, and I mean, I read the comments on our pages all the time. There was somebody who commented some time ago about literally so a whole negative thing about Ghana after somebody had said something positive. And it's like, okay, so if I was promoting New York, I would be promoting all of the great things. Like they'll be saying the skyscrapers, that, the this and that, and go here and go there and try this and try that. I'm not talking about the nasty garbage that I smelled walking around the corner in Brooklyn, the broken fire hydrant that is spraying all over my face as kids are playing. I'm not talking about those things. If I'm promoting New York, I'm talking about all the positive stuff, because that's what they do. America promotes its positive stuff through movies, through commercials, through magazines. And so when an African country does that, they get accused of, oh, why aren't you saying this? Oh, why aren't you saying that? I don't think there's anything wrong if somebody chooses to show the positive, because Western media has spent a century showing the negative. They've spent over 100 years or plus showing the negative. And if someone decides to show the positive for 5 years, they get accused of being biased. I just think it's so interesting. But, like I said, I have a journalistic mindset, and I do tend to show, about both sides of things. Maybe I'm not doing it the way that person wants it, but that's not my personality to slam things in a certain way. For example, with my health issue that I had, and I talked about in my video, I talked about the challenges in Ghana. I talked about that. But I'll also talk about the positive. I'll say, if you have the money, you can get the best healthcare. If you don't have the money, you don't, or you'll spend all your money trying to get good healthcare, or I'll talk about those things. Right. So if she's talking about me on her channel, I'm not aware recently, because I haven't watched her channel in a very long time. I hope that answers.
Well said. I got nothing else to add there. Anja Africa says, greetings, sis. Ivy, good to see you.
Thank you. Greetings to you as well.
And then Kofi just has something to add about your return and the activities, beyond the return, sorry. If I may add, I think it is a government initiative supported primarily by private enterprises and businesses. Is that the way you see it as well, Ivy?
It is a government initiative. And there are some the businesses that we endorse and partner their events. They're like private businesses and organizations that approach us to submit their event, and then we review it. And so it is a combination, but the actual initiative itself is a government initiative. So we do partner with some people, endorse their events and programs. Yeah.
There it is. Molly says, are the events going to be be Accra based or other parts of Ghana also? Good question.
So here's the thing. One of the things that we always get feedback on is a lot of people saying that there's too many things that happen in Accra and not enough in the rest of the country. But as I mentioned in the beginning, event organizers are the ones who submit their event ideas to us, and then we review it before it gets officially endorsed. So somebody can submit something and they decide they want to do it in Accra. We can't force somebody to say, you're doing your festival. Okay, no, don't do it where you chose to do it somewhere else. So what we do is we encourage you. So when we put the call out that you can submit your event idea, I'm the one that wrote the press release for that. And I actually wrote in there that we encourage people to submit event ideas that are also outside of Accra. If you're in another part of the country, submit your idea. If you have the capacity to do the event, submit your idea. A lot of people will say, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then they don't do it in the end. So, and one of the other challenges is, if you're an event organizer, you understand the logistical challenges that exist in Ghana. And one of the reasons that people choose to do events in Greater Accra is because of logistics. So, for example, let's speak about Afrochella. They usually get 15,000 to 20,000 people coming to their event, right? If you have 15,000 to 20,000 people coming to your event, those people are also going to stay in hotels and Airbnbs, right? Who has a lot of hotels and Airbnbs? Accra. Who has the places that they'll be able to easily go to, restaurants and patronize, to match up with the numbers of people? Accra. Right. Now, I'm not saying this in a negative way towards the rest of the country. What I'm saying is, if you're an event organizer, your mind is thinking, where can I do it that will support the people who will come? So if you do an event and it's like in, let's say you choose to do it in Sunyani, you would have to think to yourself, okay, are there enough hotels in Sunyani that can support the number of people that will come to my event? Are there enough restaurants? Is there a bus schedule that I can give to people if people aren't driving, that they can take to go to Sunyani, to go to these events? So those are all logistical things that people consider when they talk about doing events. And I do still encourage people, if you have ideas in other places, do those ideas. Just think about all the logistics of how you want to do it. Maybe you may have to decide to do an event that's a medium-sized event or a smaller sized event so that you can support a smaller number of people to still come and experience it in another part of the country. Tomorrow is starting the Kumasi Carnival. There's a carnival starting. So tomorrow, from the 25th to the 30th, is the Kumasi Carnival. And so the Saturday is the actual day of the parade. And so if you're going to be in Kumasi Saturday, go and enjoy the Kumasi Carnival. It's a mixture of, so the Ghana Caribbean Association, the Caribbean Chamber of Commerce have come together with the Ministry of Tourism, Ghana Tourism Authority to do the carnival. We did it in 2019, but they had a break the last couple of years because of COVID. But this year they decided to bring back the carnival. So there's going to be that carnival happening this weekend. So if you're in Accra, go to the carnival. We've endorsed it. I've posted it on our page. So go and check it out. We also have had events in other parts of the country as well. I remember last year we had some festivals that were in the north and in the Upper East region. This year there's also a festival. The River Festival is happening in Ada. So there are a few things here and there that are happening in other areas. It's just a matter of, are people going to go? And there's events in Aburi. There's also an event happening in Aburi. So it's all a matter of if you want to go to those regions or if you want to do events in those regions. So, I mean, we want people to go to other parts of the country. They may not necessarily do it in December. They may do it at other times of year, because sometimes other parts of the country are also better in other parts of this the year too. Depends on what their person's needs are.
There you go. All right, great answer. Anja Africa says, many people see, oh, this is going back to Idris Alba. We're pissed that he had dual citizenship. I think, look, and I know that he got his citizenship in an unconventional manner. Those of us who've gotten our citizenship in Sierra Leone, whether you're like me, whose parents are both born there and you had to go through a process, or if you are a descendant and you did the dual citizenship through what now I'm finding out is about $5,000 process. Some people have, they don't like that certain celebrities get to fast track it and get handed the, but I mean, at the end of the day, this helps to bring other people back. Yeah. And so, you know, I think it's important that, that they do these kinds of things because, you know, he's a very popular person. Right. I mean, he's been, I've known of him since The Wire. Right. And so I had no idea he was Sierra Leonean until 2018, when he came in 2018 and he was a DJ at a party at the hotel I was staying at. So I had no idea he was Sierra Leonean, but that's important to know. It's great for country pride. And so the fact that they did the pomp and circumstance and gave him his citizenship, whether he's also Ghanaian or whatever else, and he got, you know, fast tracked, I think it's still helpful for those who have country pride. You know, I wear my beads that have my Sierra Leone colors on it. So yeah, I mean, I think it was important, and I'm not mad at it. And I think we should all be happy that he actually is embracing his Sierra Leonean roots finally, because it's not something that we see too often by other folks. So
yeah, I do agree that you know, the celebrity aspect, governments know that it's good PR. You know, at the end of the day, it's good PR. And I remember there were times when the year of return would get criticized by some of the local Ghanaian community, that why is it always about celebrities? Why do you guys always talk about celebrities? And some people actually even thought that Ghana Tourism paid celebrities to come and flew them in, but the government never paid any celebrity to come to Ghana. They never paid any celebrity's flight to come to Ghana. Those celebrities chose to come to Ghana on their own. They paid their own flights to come to Ghana. You know, basically what we would do is we would help them with things like logistics, like, you know, helping with coordinating their trip as far as, you know, where we were going and stuff like that. But they didn't pay for them to come. You know, people think that. But one of the things that is important to understand is the power of celebrity. And that's why companies hire celebrities. That's why, you know, Coca-Cola sales drop significantly when, what's his name? Cristiano Ronaldo said he wants water instead of Coke. And then their sales drop because the power of a celebrity voice. So people know that if you align your brand with a celebrity, that it boosts its reach. You know, like had I not filmed that video of Steve Harvey and posted it on the Year of Return page, it would not have pushed the campaign as quickly at that period of time.
Right.
And it's because of the celebrity push. You know, people love their celebrities, whether they hate them or whether they love them. They bring the media, they bring eyes. I remember, you know, one time when I posted something, that was meaningful on one of our pages, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like been a few hours and it's only got like 20 likes or something. And then I was like, watch, I'll post a celebrity post and it'll get traction. And then I posted a post of Akon, because he said he was thinking about coming to Ghana, and it just like within like 20 minutes it had so many likes and so many shares, because people like celebrities at the end of the day, you know. So yeah, I'm sure that Idris helped to bring more traction to Sierra Leone.
100%. And if you weren't there at that party, you missed out, because that was great. Okay, Molly said, hit the like button. This is great stuff. Thank you. It is. So Anthony is saying that it seems like Chance the Rapper has gotten the Ghana bug. He's always in Ghana, and he has an event coming up in January that a couple folks have reminded me about.
Yes, he does.
So
in 2021, his friend Vic Mensa, who is his dad is Ghanaian. Vic Mensa had reached out to me when Chance was trying to come to Ghana. And so I helped to facilitate some things with him coming to Ghana with his team. And this was after he tweeted that he wished he was in Accra. And that just like went viral, that Chance the Rapper wishes he's in Accra. And so when he came, that was January of this year. January 2022 was when he made it. And he loved it. He loved it so much that he's come back to Ghana, and he came back in July, I believe it was. And then he came back again in September for the Global Citizen Festival. And then he's going to be coming back again for their festival happening in January. He may come a little bit earlier, but I know that definitely in January, he'll be back in Ghana. And he's working with some artists. He's done some stuff with some artists as well. So there's some collaborations that are happening. And so it's been really great seeing how his journey has been in Ghana and how much he's loved by people in Ghana. And I swear, when I look at his face, I'm always like, he actually looks like a Ghanaian guy. Like his facial features, he actually looks like a Ghanaian man. So it's like that DNA, he must have some of that DNA, whether it's Ghanaian or Nigerian, because Ghanaian and Nigerians have some similar features sometimes. So who knows?
True story. All right, cool. So there's some conversations about the previous topic that came from Dan Diablo. We'll skip those. Okay, Molly says this. Ghana needs to look into health tourism.
Oh, I agree that the health industry definitely needs more investment. I definitely agree with that. That there needs to be more investment in the health industry, more improvements in the infrastructure and stuff. Right now, it's like there's like some top tier places, but then there's a lot of places that are not adequate, in my opinion.
Got it. Do you want to address this other one here?
Which other one?
Dan Diablo saying specifically the back and forth of concerning Asebu. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Let me see. I didn't see it, so I don't know.
This is Dan Diablo saying, because I don't know about this. I have no idea about any of this.
Asebu land. I don't know what back and forth. I know that there was a comment that I had made. I mean, I think there was a comment that I had made on her page or something, and we had like an exchange, a couple of exchanges or something, like 2 years ago. But I don't even remember what was said in those that back. I'd have to go back and see, because that was like 2 years ago. Okay. Yeah, that was like 2 years ago. I just know that we disagreed because she felt that it was a scam, and I was saying that it wasn't. And
the land.
Yes. She was saying it was a scam, and I was saying that it wasn't, because I had actually gone there and seen it for myself. One of the challenges is that you have people. So in Ghana, and I mean, this isn't just Ghana only, but the elderly community has a habit of not reading their emails, or not, like my mom, we made an email for my mom. Does she ever check it? No, she doesn't. So we have a challenge where And I'm speaking from my experience going there. This is not speaking for Ghana Tourism. This is not speaking for Beyond the Return. This is not speaking for the ministry. This is speaking as Ivy Prosper, who went to the land. That the people who are checking the emails and stuff that are coming from abroad are not on top of things. Like the guy opens the email and there's like 100 emails and he's like overwhelmed. So I think that that's one of the problems. And I suggested to them, I haven't followed up on it recently, but I had suggested to them they should get a young person to join their team and be the person checking their emails and stuff, because you can't have emails pile up and not respond to people, because people abroad will not look favorably on you if you're not giving some kind of acknowledgement. You know, I know a couple of people, Ecos Simpson, I think Ecos Sampson, he has a YouTube channel. He's the best person to speak about this land because he lives in Cape Coast and he goes and checks on the land on a regular basis. He's done a few follow-up videos there. He is the best person to talk about that land.
Fair. Okay. So I'm going to pull up another comment. I do have to take a quick break. And I want to give something else for Ivy to speak to really quickly here. You know what? Actually, I wanted to ask you about this because this comes up a lot and people ask about this all the time. The gentrification happening by all of the Westerners coming and pricing people locally out. And people ask me this question all the time, and I have the same response that I have about my neighborhood in Brooklyn as I do in Accra. But can you speak to, I know this was one of the questions that I had, but I wanted to ask you that. Can you speak to what you've seen with this? And do you think it's a net positive or a negative in terms of the country's growth overall? Because I think it could be really interesting to hear people's...
Repeat that again?
The gentrification happening.
Oh, gentrification. Do I think it's positive or negative?
Yeah.
So the gentrification. So am I talking about this while you go do your bathroom break?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the gentrification. So this is something that was in a video. Actually, Vanessa Camby talked about this in one of her videos with a friend of mine, Fred, and the whole idea of all these new properties that are being built in Ghana, and it's driving the cost of living up for some of the local community, because there's apartments, there's houses, there's all kinds of new developments, gated communities, and all that are popping up around, mostly in the Greater Accra area, but you're seeing more of that also in places like Kumasi and Ada, Cape Coast. Like there's other areas where there's some development happening, Winneba, and people are finding they feel that it's like regentrification. And you find that sometimes when developers decide to build somewhere, the people who were there all get pushed out so that they can excavate and build on the land. This is not something new to the world. It happens not only in Ghana, but it happens in other parts of the world as well. Like I've seen that, like even for me, the time I've spent being back in Canada, that I've seen a lot of areas that have changed because developers have bought out the properties and tore things down and rebuild. So you're finding the cost of places are much more expensive than before. So I do think it's a challenge, and I think that there needs to be something done to help curb that a little bit, because there are a lot of people who are struggling to even get a place. So you're finding people are staying with family members for extended period of time, because what's happening is the diaspora are coming in with their dollars and pounds and euros. And so these property developments are catering to those people. But then you have local people who are not earning in that currency. And so it makes it difficult for them if they want to buy or build. So it's forcing them to go outside of some of the city center and go out into the outskirts if they want to be able to get land. So I do think it has a little bit of an effect. I think there's two sides to it. The side where it's regentrifying the area. Then there's a side where the development helps to boost potential investment opportunities for businesses, which means that also potential for jobs, depending on the kind of businesses that are coming in. But I do think there needs to be a balance. And that's where I like where people like Kofi Anku, who has been working on some property in parts of the Eastern region, Greater Accra. I think Eastern region and Greater Accra, working on properties that have some lower income the housing is a little bit less expensive. That he has properties that are going for like 50,000, 60,000, versus in Accra where it's like minimum, like you're finding like 200,000, 300,000, which is a little bit much for a lot of the local community. But it is something to be concerned with, definitely.
Nice. Okay, so there's a lot of questions. So I just want to get to some of them. Molly had an interesting question. I want to get your thoughts on this. So the year of return, in their opinion, was heavily focused on African Americans. What about other diaspora, Europe, South America, etc.?
So the year of return was because it hinged on the 400-year anniversary of the first documented ship to arrive in the United States. That is why initially the community that were coming were the African American community. But the year of return essentially was a welcome to the entire diaspora. And because of it being hinged on that the whole idea of the history of the transatlantic slave trade, the people who gravitated towards it more were people from the Americas. That's not just the United States. When I say the Americas, I mean North and South America.
Right.
People always think of the transatlantic slave trade and think it's only the United States, but Canada and the Caribbean and South America, there were people who came from those places as well. Like one of my most memorable moments during the year of return was when people from Suriname came to Ghana. And I was like, my God, there was like 2 different flights that had groups of people from Suriname who came. That's for those who don't know, it's in South America, who have lineage, to Ghana. And so it tended to hinge on that because the transatlantic slave trade went to the Americas, right? North and South America. But it was open to any diasporan. So we did have a lot of people from the diaspora who responded. A lot of people came from the Netherlands. People came from especially the UK.
Right.
And also there were some people from Australia and from Japan. I met a couple of people from China who came, like Ghanaians who live in China. So the difference with the dynamic is that you have a dynamic that in North America, there's a large number of people who are direct descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. And then you have in Europe, you have a lot of people who chose to immigrate to those places. They chose to immigrate to Africans who've chosen to immigrate to other countries. So the dynamic is a little bit different, but the welcome was still there for people to come, and people definitely did. Come. And Ghanaians, what we found, this is an interesting thing. The Ghanaians who had left Ghana, some of them been like, I left Ghana, I washed my hands of that country, I didn't want to come back, never again. They were proud Americans, proud wherever it was they become citizens. And suddenly when they saw people coming to Ghana, they were like, oh, I'm Ghanaian. Oh, I'm Ghanaian. I want to come back. Oh, I haven't been back to Ghana in 20 years. Oh, I want to come back. One person, I hadn't been back in Ghana in 35 years and I see this happening. Wow, I feel pride. I want to go back. So it also lit the fire for Africans to say, wow, I need to take pride in my Africanness and also join and come back. So it ignited different communities for different reasons. So it was really good. At the end of the day, it united everyone together. Another one of my memorable moments during the year of return was when the NAACP, for those who don't know, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the oldest organization in the U.S. that supports the rights of Black people, colored people. So Black people, they also support people from the Latin community, but their origins was because of what was happening to Black people in the United States, post enslavement, the freedom and the civil rights era, all that stuff. So when they came, they had like over 250 people. They came to Ghana. There was a gala dinner we had. And that moment was like the global African family.
Right.
Well, after they had their speeches and all that stuff, and then we had our dinner, and then the DJ came on. When the DJ came on, and it was like people lined up on two sides and people dancing down the middle. Started off with someone's grandma who's dancing, and everybody, it was like there was African Americans, there was Black people from the Caribbean, like Jamaicans, there was people from where was it from? I think it's Curacao. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. In Suriname, of course, people from the UK, people from South Africa, from Nigeria, this whole group of different Black people from different places around the world. And everyone was dancing to the beat. Everyone was getting their groove. Everyone was like cheering on grandma in the middle, cheering on the little girl who comes dancing, cheering on the next kid who comes. Like, it was like a whole family reunion. That moment was, for me, was like, I had tears. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. So yeah, the coming together of the global African family.
I love it. Love it. Okay. So we got a question from Mariama Forbes, who I know from Sierra Leone. She lives in the UK now. She says, how are you combating the overpriced events, and how are you ensuring, she's going to Ghana this year, that's why she's saying that. And how are you ensuring the money is actually going into the community and not fed back into Western countries? It's a mouthful, but yeah.
Okay, that question came from your Instagram page.
Yeah, it came from Instagram. Yes.
How are you combating that? How are you combating that?
The prices, I guess. The question is really more about how do we ensure that the money is actually for these events is actually being fed into the communities locally or impacting Ghana, as opposed to the diaspora and internationally. I guess is really what she's trying to get at.
Well, I mean, so when those kinds of questions come up, what I want to know is, how are they expecting the money to go into the community? Are they expecting that someone is writing a check to say, here, this is for the community, writing a check to say, here, this is for this group? Is that what they want? Is that what they're asking? Because the essence of it all is money is going into the community by virtue of them having something in Ghana. So for instance, if I decide to have an event and I'm charging let's say I'm charging a certain fee for the event organizers take into consideration, they have to pay the cost of renting the venue. They have to pay the cost of security. They have to pay the cost of staff. So staff members being paid are going to be local staff making money. So a local person making money at an event is getting money in their pocket, which they're going to then spend in the local community. So if someone making like, I don't know, let's say someone makes $500 or something, and they use that money, they go to the grocery store, they're paying at the grocery store, they go to the market, they're spending money at the market, that money's going to that market woman. They go into an Uber, their money's going into that person who's the Uber driver, their money's going to the taxi driver, their money's going to wherever if they go to a restaurant, whoever's in the restaurant working. So essentially the money is going into the community. So whenever people ask those questions, I always want to know, is it that they're saying they want a check to be written to a certain organization to prove money going into the country's economy? Because the majority of these events that are being done in Ghana, they have to have a local Ghana partner to be doing the event. Most of the events being done are not being done by foreigners. People think that everything is being done by foreigners. The majority of these events are being done by Ghanaians who are in Ghana, or whether they're Ghanaians who will go back and forth. Most of them are done by people here, people who already have businesses in Ghana, and they're doing events because they want to maximize the opportunity of the December season being a busy season for them to be able to also put on events, hire people, hire performances and stuff like that. Essentially, I think, Afro Nation is a organization that they're international because they travel around to different places, right. But they have a partner in Ghana who is the Ghana contact that we work with when it comes to that particular event. So I'm just curious as to in what way that person wanted money to be showing that it's going back into the community. I'm not discrediting her question. I just always want to know in what capacity is it that people are asking that particular question, because people being in the country, they're going to spend money in the country, which is going into people's pockets. People have this misconception. When the announcement was made of how much money went into Ghana's economy, I think it was like $3 billion after a year of return, people think all that money went into the pockets of the government, but
Right.
the money that would have gone to the government would have been the tax. So if you went to a restaurant and you saw on your receipt, it shows the tourism levy tax, you know, the VAT tax, like those are the taxes that would go to the government because it's a tax. But all the other money that went into the economy went into the pockets of people working. So it's like that money was calculated based on the average number of money that each person spent, each tourist spent when they came to Ghana. And that information comes from when they fill out their declaration cards when they're leaving the country, their immigration declaration cards. So it's an average based on the average amount of money a person spends when they come into the country. And that money is spent on restaurants, on hotels, on transportation, you know, on whatever it is they do, whether they're buying from hawkers on the street, they're going to the market, they're getting their hair done, they're, you know, going to some salon, some spa, like all the money that they spend within the country is going into the economy.
Well said. All right, cool. Couple of things. People are singing your praises again. Christabella says, Ivy, looking beautiful. I hope you're feeling better. I'm in Toronto too, so I felt you when you talked about the healthcare in Ghana, only to come back here facing more healthcare challenges. I watched that video too 3 weeks ago, I think or so.
Yeah. Thank you, Krista. I appreciate that. Yeah, I am feeling better. I do have a couple of tests that I'm supposed to do, which has delayed me because I was supposed to go back this month, but I had to delay a little bit longer due to some. So there was a particular test that wasn't until a particular appointment that wasn't until March of next year. And now they got a cancellation and bumped me up. So I'm going to stay for that before I leave. So it's like, this is just nonsense. This wait. And it's just, yeah, the system is crazy.
Yeah. Yes. And I want to shout out, there was a sticker that, and now I'm lost the name and I didn't, so somebody
a super chat. Yeah. Super chat.
Yeah. But I lost the name. It's not showing up here anymore, but I wanted to shout them out, but it's not showing up anymore. So.
Oh yeah, there was a super chat here. It's gone. I don't know where it went.
I don't know. YouTube just disappeared it. So, but we appreciate it. Whoever
I see it is Betty Hopkins.
Betty Hopkins. There you go. Yes. Thank you, Betty. Appreciate it. Okay. So let's see where we are. There are so many questions from the folks. I think I have more questions, but let me run through some of these since everyone is asking. Okay. Kwame is saying, hope you feel better.
Thank you. I'm good. Much better.
Anja says Accra traffic is mini NYC on steroids, and it's going to be worse next month in the 2 months coming. I already know. It took me 2 hours to go what would normally take 15 minutes in 2019. So I'm preparing for it.
Insane. Yeah. And you know, in 2019, there was a situation where me and the camera guy got out of the car and walked because the amount of time sitting in the car we would have been late going to where we were going. Yeah.
Same. Me and my friends, we walked about 1.5 miles because we were in gridlock traffic going to the beach to go to Afro Nation. So yes, it is true. So if you're coming, just be prepared for that. Leave early. That's what I could say. So I think this question was answered already. Mark was asking, does Ghana have any activities coming out on in a Aburi? Coming for 2 weeks in December. I have got my hotel in Aburi, but I love the weather in Aburi. So yeah, you mentioned this already. There's actually something happening like next week, and then you mentioned that there are things happening outside.
Next week is in Kumasi. Well, this week coming is Kumasi this week.
Right.
In Aburi, the one that I know for sure is an event called Little Havana. That is happening on the 26th of December. That's the one that I know for sure off the top of my head.
Okay, cool. All right. So King Joseph has a question about African currency, and I guess you mean all the different currencies across the continent. Specifically, Ghana. I did a live about this. Ghana has was considered the second worst performing currency in the world.
Which was the first?
Because it was in Asia somewhere. It starts with an M. And I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay.
But it was, out of the 206 countries, recognized countries in the world, Ghana was 205. Only because of how far it dipped, not because it's actual power against the dollar. Because there are other countries that do have a lower power against the dollar, but it has halved since I first moved to Ghana. I moved to Ghana, it was 6 cedis to every $1. It's now passing 12 cedis to every $1. So with that being said, do you have any thoughts on this, Ivy?
No, I'm just frustrated because it's dropping so much. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's I mean, I'm not an economist, so I don't usually talk about currency valuation because I even have my challenges understanding the whole system.
Right.
I actually wanted to do a live stream with somebody about this and just kind of people I know who are in the economic, in the industry of finance, but getting someone who's willing to talk on camera has been a challenge because I want an expert who can really speak to why it's happening. And from what some people are telling me, it has to do with since when the president announced the going back to IMF, that's when things started to go downhill. And debts from the country are things that people have been saying as well. But I'm no expert, but it's just really sad and disappointing how much it's going down. It'll be great for people coming in December. Like if you're coming from the States and you're coming with your dollar right now, from what I heard, the last I heard $1 was worth 15 Ghana cedis a couple of days ago. I don't know what it is today. Yeah. So if you're coming from there, you're good.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, but if you are a local, it's rough. It's rough. Because people buy a lot of stuff in US dollars, and what I mean is if you're a business person and you're buying product, you're often buying it internationally in the US dollar. So it makes it tough for a local business person. So some of them have raised their prices, but if you're coming with dollars already, it's still not going to affect you as much as a local person.
There you go. Okay, here's a question from Catherine. She says, how long does Beyond the Return last? I'm a pastor and college professor in the States who works with and social hosts Ghanaian foreign exchange students. I have yet to visit but plan to come.
It's a 10-year initiative, so up until 2030.
There it is. All right, cool. Oh, no, that's cool one. Oh, this is saying the $5,000 process for getting your citizenship in Sierra Leone. I'm way behind. That's from like 30 minutes ago. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we could catch up on some things here that make sense for this discussion. Okay, so Chance the Rapper's thing that he's doing with Vic Mensa in January 6th is Black Star Line Festival. I guess that's what's happening January 6th. I'll be there for that. If you guys aren't going to be there live, I will be getting some content there. So look forward to that. Mark says, I've heard many celebrities are already in town. I don't know what you've heard, Ivy, but is that the case?
Probably. There's always celebrities coming to Ghana. I think Lupita Nyong'o was just there recently. Right. She got a dress made by a Ghanaian designer, Dwaba Serwa. And she's worn it to an event. So I'm pretty sure she was in Ghana recently. I don't know exactly when. But as for who's there right now, I don't know. But there's always celebrities coming to Ghana, coming and going.
Got it. Okay. Okay, here's a question. So Betty had a question here. A holiday question. Are tourist spots, Osu Castle, Dungeon, WB Du Bois, etc., shut down on New Year's Day?
No.
They're open.
Osu Castle might be. Osu Castle often isn't always open every day. But the other ones should be open. But the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial is closed. They're doing a complete overhaul at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial. And they said that it would be reopening in, I believe, March.
Got it. Let's see. Okay, so that's where the super sticker was, by the way. I found it from Betty.
There was another one from someone else, too.
There was another one, which now I've lost.
Krista Bella.
Krista Bella sent one, too. So thank you, Krista. We appreciate you. So Mariama says, I'm enjoying this. Looking forward to visiting Ghana and filming the experience. Joe, please come to Ghana earlier so you can give me a tour. I'm coming to Ghana on December 26th. I got to be in Sierra Leone. Why don't you go to Sierra Leone, then go to Ghana, Mariama? So Mariama and I met in Sierra Leone in sometime last year. And so she's coming to Ghana. She's a content creator as well. Okay, so yeah, this is Christabella. We mentioned the other, hit that like button on both channels. Yes, please, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you're doing that. If you find this interesting, definitely do that. Fred says Ivy is not an economist. Still answer the question well, though. Okay, I'm just trying to scroll through here and see if there's any questions. See, this is where my reading comprehension challenges come into play, because I'm trying to read. Okay, here we go. P Black 3 says, "Great seeing you live, Queen Prosper." Oh, Queen Prosper, I like that. Can you address the COVID vaccine requirement for international travelers? I'm getting mixed feedback. Some are still paying $150 test at airport.
There's not supposed to be a test at the airport unless you're so basically Ghana is still, I don't know if they're going to change this, because people always ask me if Ghana's going to change this. I do not know. The only answer I have is that as of today, October 24th, 2022, if you're watching this live later, I want to say that date so people don't get it mixed. That they are still requiring people are vaccinated before they come into Ghana. And if you are a Ghanaian citizen or a Ghanaian resident, they are allowed to return when they are not vaccinated, but they are the people who are required to do the test at the airport. So the people still paying would be people who are Ghanaians or Ghanaian residents, legal residents who are not vaccinated and pay to get tested and then put into possible quarantine based on their test results. So yeah, if you are not Ghanaian, they are still requiring that you are vaccinated before you can enter the country. That's as of today, October 24th, 2022. If they change it later, I don't know if they're going to be changing it.
Okay, there you go. Kwame asked a random question. I thought that was interesting. Do you have any children? I don't know why.
Who, me or you?
I think it's she. It says, does she?
Oh, I saw it says she. I just saw it says she. No, I don't. I don't have any children.
Okay.
Would love to, but I don't.
So Greg says, awesome professional channel. Dior should sponsor perfume by Ivy. Okay, let's see.
Thank you.
Okay, some other stuff here. A powerful name, by the way. I've said this to you before, but I love it, and I love how you play it into things, right?
Thank you.
Live long and prosper, right? All of that. I'm sure you heard that your whole life. My last name being Hot Water. I've heard all kinds of things.
Are you serious?
Well, Hatagua, hot water, hot agua.
Agua. Oh, the Spanish.
Yeah.
California. So
ever since my first ever Spanish class, I've been hearing that hot water, or teachers would say, "You're in hot water now," and they found it really, as it was the first time I heard it. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna do, because YouTube is really big on the speculations about the global sickness and etc. So I'm not gonna post any of those comments. I'll just leave that to you. You guys can read that and discuss amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. Okay, cool. So here's another question from Ivy. I think there were some comments. Let me see. I don't want to miss any comments because people were saying a bunch of stuff here. Okay. Am I missing anything?
There's somebody, Mariama Forbes is asking a question about diaspora groups for solo travelers.
Okay, yes, that was the one. Yes. So do you want to, let me click on that. Okay, here we go. Yes. There we go.
Okay, so there aren't any specific groups for solo travelers. But if you're looking for a solo travel experience to be curated, I do have that service available. So you can always send me an email, because I have partnered with Location Accra to help support with these kinds of tours, because I have a lot of women who send me messages that they're solo travelers and they're looking for a curated tour experience in Ghana. And so if that is what you're looking for, I can certainly support that. Just send me an email to info@ivyprosper.com, and we can start the dialogue there. We can do a discovery call and see what's possible. There is a fee if you actually decide that you want to book a curated tour, but we can do a discovery call to have a conversation and see exactly what your needs are.
Cool. Yes. And I'm just realizing that I lost audio on the Instagram live, but the link is pinned there, and it looks like some of you joined because Mariama was there and a few others. So you guys are on the YouTube live anyway, so that's great. Okay, cool. We're now an hour and almost 30 minutes in, and so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Ivy, you've always been generous with your time, so I appreciate it. Just have a couple more questions for you before we close this thing out. You mentioned something that you enjoyed, but I want to ask you, what is one of your favorite experiences or things that you've done as part of the Beyond the Return activities in the last few years?
Yeah, I did mention some of the high moments for me.
Yeah.
I always loved some of the cultural festivities. So there was the national, what was it called? NAC, National Cultural Festival that happened in Koforidua. So you see, we have events in other regions. Koforidua in the eastern region, we had an event, and that one, because I'm half, my father's Ewe and my mom is Achim. So the Achims are part of the Akan people in the eastern region. The Ewes are from the Volta region. And so I've always been more exposed to the eastern region side of my family, because my mom always talked about that stuff, whereas my dad didn't talk much about being Ewe as much growing up as she did. And so that festival was highlighting all 16 regions of Ghana. And so what I loved about it was seeing some of these performances. And one of the performances that really struck with me was when they had like dancing and stuff, and just seeing and hearing the music, and I just felt this emotion in me. But I loved that festival. I also like some of the business conferences that we have that give people an opportunity to actually have conversations, and the networking stuff. So some of the networking stuff where people can actually talk to each other and actually engage and learn from each other. So one of my favorite events that we had during the year of return was the HAXA, the Historical African Cultural Society. And they had this 3 or 4 day conference where each day there were different discussions, different speakers, different panelists. And there was a particular day that they had a panel that was African Americans and Africans, and having discussions of their experiences. And I thought it was really cool because it was kind of like a coming together of them sharing some of their experiences they have, the way that society has almost trained us to not like each other, or trained us to not know about each other. And then just seeing them coming together and having those conversations was really great. And then also one of the panel discussions that I was like, wow, was they were talking about the history of this man who was an enslaved African and was eventually taken to Virginia, and how there was somebody who came from Virginia whose family was like a descendant of the people who took that particular person as an enslaved African over there. And on this panel, there was like 5 or 6 different men talking about their family history. And then one guy they put a picture on the screen behind him, and it was like a picture of his family from like years, probably like 100 years ago, black and white picture. And then people looked back, and one guy was like, hey, that's one of my relatives. And in that moment, they saw that these 2 men who thought they were just 2 men on a panel discovered that they had the same relative. And it was like, wow, we are so connected and we don't even realize it. So for me, some of the great moments are those kinds of moments when the reality of how connected we are just is like in your face. And you're like, you can't deny how connected we are as a people. It's like the root was on the continent and the branches have spread all over the place. And eventually people kind of connect and discover each other and find each other. So those were some of the moments that were really memorable for me. And then December 20, I think it was December 27th. That day was like back to back to back to back events. And it was like morning, go to the airport to greet some people, mid-morning, go somewhere else, afternoon somewhere else, evening somewhere else. And it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was like, wow, people really are loving being here. Like it just was like, I thought to myself, I grew up, I was born in Ghana, but grew up in Canada, always knew I was African, and never did I feel such a strong sense of pride as I did in 2019 because of seeing how monumental it was that people were coming. And after the year was over, it was funny because we kept saying in the office, oh, I can't wait for this year to be over. We were so tired. We were so exhausted, working day after day, morning to night. Performers who wouldn't come on stage on time. So we would get home to like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to get up at 6 to do it all over again. And then when it was over, it was like we were part of history. We were a part of history, like history, you know, not knowing that that COVID was looming soon, you know, but it was like it was amazing. It was amazing that like just overall the whole experience was phenomenal for me. Phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, I can say I had an amazing experience in 2019. We hadn't known each other yet, but that was what led to me eventually deciding to move to Ghana, which is a whole conversation for another time. You guys see all that content on my channel earlier, content. But yeah, I mean, you guys did a great job during that 4 days I was there. It made such a lasting impact that I ended up moving to Ghana a year later, literally a year later. I was in Ghana. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. All right, so what do we have? There's a couple more comments and questions. I'm going to skip some of those because it's getting a little spicy. Okay, here's one. P Black is asking, and my computer's moving really slow, so it's coming up, but then it's not. Okay, there we go. Do any of your tours include the African Wall and Prom Prom with Baba Jerry Johnson?
We actually went there with Angela Rye, when political analyst Angela Rye and Queen Efua and their group came. We actually went there. We took them there on a tour. So yeah, if people want to, then yeah, it's included. He has had some events at that space, and I've encouraged him to submit his event to our office so that it can be a partnership. But so far he hasn't submitted it to our office, but I certainly do think that his should be something that has more high profile to it. And thank you for that question. So that's a reminder for me to send him a message again to remind him to send it to our office.
All right, great. All right, so again, we're at an hour and almost 40 minutes. So,
well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to just mention a few of the events that are coming up because
yes, please, yes,
people may be planning stuff and they may want to know because we haven't released the official calendar out as a one 2-page document or whatever, but I have been posting events on our pages on the Year of Return page as well as on the Beyond the Return pages on Instagram and on Facebook. And on our Twitter account too. I'm trying to build our Twitter account because for some reason it was suspended by Twitter for like 2 years, and I had to trying to build it now. They finally opened it up. I don't know what the problem was, but anyway. So coming up in November, there's an event called the Decor Sign Expo, which is actually an interior decorating event to trying to partner to promote the creative arts side as well. So the Decor Sign Expo is happening at the International Conference Center, Accra International Conference Center, and it's going to be promoting interior design, interior arts, and creatives and stuff, furniture. That is November 10th to 13th. On the 20th of November, Rhythms on the Runway. Rhythms on the Runway is a fashion event that's been happening for about 10 years in Ghana. It's a mixture of fashion and music. So they'll have artists performing as well as they have fashion designers showcasing their work. There's the YouTube Creators Festival, which is happening on the 24th to the 26th of November. The YouTube Creators Festival will feature speakers, workshops to engage with people who are content creators in Ghana, West Africa. I know last year they had people who came from Nigeria as well, so they may have that again this year too. There's a couple of food festivals happening that are happening in December. I know one of them is the 2nd to 3rd of December. The other one is later in the month. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. There's a Jollof and Afrobeats festival happening, celebrating Jollof and Afrobeats. I think our West African people need to come out to that and really need to be like, which one is really the best one? Which Jollof is really the best? There's the Freedom Parade. The Freedom Parade is happening in Ada, and it is at the Nchimchim Museum. That event is celebrating African culture. They're going to have a procession of people walking around and doing like that African face painting type of stuff as well. So yeah, that's one event happening in December. I'm trying to name things that are not necessarily well known because everybody already knows about Afrochella, Afro Nation. Right. There is a Made in Ghana fair that is going to be promoting all products made in Ghana. That's the 22nd to 25th. It's an opportunity for you to shop. There's a Festival of Lights happening the 23rd to the 25th. The Festival of Lights is going to be at Independence Square. It's going to be like, those of you who live in countries like Canada and the US, I think the UK also, they like Christmas time, you have these festivals where there's like all these lights, Christmas lights and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be what they're doing on the 23rd to 25th of December. There's going to be a festival in Kumasi from the 23rd to 27th. That's called the Kumasi Weekend Festival. I don't have details on it yet, but I know that it's going to be happening in Kumasi. There is the Roverman Festival of Plays for people who like theater. Ibo White is a playwright in Ghana who's very well known in Ghana for many years for his plays that he does at the National Theater. So every Christmas season, he has this festival of plays where there's like 5 to 6 plays that are going to be showing at the National Theater. So from the 24th of December up until January 2nd, there's going to be a few of their plays that are going to be showcased at the National Theater. There's the Northern Fest, which is going to be happening in the Northern region. That is on the 30th of December. There's one for young people. It's called the Teens Rave. That's going to be a festival for young people. So if you have a teenager or something that wants to go out and do something, the Teens Rave is happening on December 29th. I don't have the location yet, but once they send me the flyer, I'll post it on our page. And there's also an event called the Royal Gala. That's going to be something that's regarding NFTs. So they're celebrating NFT art for people who are into NFT art. The Royal Gala is happening as well on the 30th of December. And so that's just an example of a few things. I just wanted to name off a few things so people can know that there are quite a number of things coming up. Follow the Beyond the Return page on Instagram. I'll just put it in the section here, Beyond the Return. It's the same handle on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, Beyond the Return. And you can follow the pages to get information on what's going on because I'm the one that's posting. So if you go to those pages and you make comments or you send a DM, you're sending a DM to me. Just want to let you know you can always follow those pages to get more information on what's happening.
So yeah, I just posted it in the chat there, and so that's the page she was referencing just now. Excellent. Okay, cool. So I think it's quite an exhaustive live. We've gone through everything. I know there are a lot of questions about other things, but this live is supposed to be about the Beyond the Return activities.
Oh, but I mean, when you do live, you always end up going in other directions, right?
Right. Especially my lives. So for sure. So yeah, so Kwame says, love the stream, Ivy and Authentic African. Well, thanks for joining. It's been great.
Thank you for joining, Kwame.
Very educational for me, so I appreciate it. And it looks like I got a new subscriber too. Kofi says they're not subscribed to my channel. Shout out to you. And on that note, make sure you subscribe. 70% of you who watch my videos don't subscribe. Subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. I do look at my analytics.
That is so normal for all people on YouTube. That's a normal thing. Like most people watching don't subscribe.
Yeah, I know.
They're channel hoppers.
Channel hoppers. We need to change that. Subscribe so that you guys know every time a new live is coming and you can get information like this, right? I try to keep it away from the salacious and the gossip and all of that. And it really is about learning what it could be like to move and the activities that are happening. And so we want to ensure that we're giving people that knowledge. And that's why I wanted to bring Ivy today, because obviously she's a wealth of knowledge, as you guys can see. So this was really, really great. Make sure you subscribe to her, subscribe to mine, like, comment in the replay. This is going to be reposted as a video. Make sure you comment in the replay. If you're joining now, go back and watch from the beginning. Lots of great information. And yeah, cross-pollinate. You guys who are Ivy subscribers, subscribe to mine. My subscribers are probably already subscribed to Ivy, but if you're not, go subscribe to Ivy's channel as well. But yeah, Ivy, I want to thank you very much for doing this. This was really, really helpful. And I'm glad we got a chance to get you on to talk to the people. Any final words before we go?
Final words? Just have a great time. If you decide to come to Ghana in December or any other time of year, come, come and enjoy yourself. And also know that, because I know that there's people who watch and maybe they may never get a chance to come. Don't worry if you can't come. You can always be a part of the community of learning and exchanging information, because as people of African descent, all over the world, whether you're a Black person in America or in Jamaica or in St. Kitts and Nevis or in Canada, Norway, wherever you are, wherever our people are, you're all part of the community in helping to change the narrative and helping to tell our stories, because it's been a long time that we didn't tell our stories and share our stories. And so much to the point that the National Geographic apologized for being a part of telling negative stories about Africa for so many decades. And so we have to be in control and helping to share the story. So if you're never able to come to the continent and create your own content, take your own pictures, you can always share other people's content, be part of the conversation. Ask questions if you don't know, because I don't fault anyone who doesn't know. I don't fault anyone who makes any ignorant comments, because it's ignorant because they don't know, right? It's all about learning, teaching each other and sharing. So I appreciate all of you who have come onto this live. I appreciate you, Joe, for having me on the live today. It's been a great conversation. And I look forward to more and connecting when we're both back in Ghana.
I am looking forward to it as well.
I know, because we were supposed to meet and it never happened before we both set out and it didn't happen.
Yeah, we've both been gone forever. So yes, we definitely need to when we get back. Lots to catch up on. Well, yeah, so thanks again. And do you want to just give it's Ivy Prosper on everything, right? And also Beyond the Return on everything.
Ivy Prosper on everything. So you can follow me on, it's just Ivy Prosper on everything, on Instagram, on my my public Facebook page, on Twitter, YouTube, and then my website is ivyprosper.com. And yeah, it's Ivy Prosper.
All right. And for those of you who are Ivy subscribers, mine is Authentic African. Instagram is authentic_African. It was taken on Instagram when I started the page back in 2019. But yeah, it's all there. So just follow Authentic African. I also do post on my personal stuff, but not as much. So just follow Authentic African, because that's really where I spend my time and my focus. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this with anybody who's planning to come to Ghana in December, so that they know what is available to them for the year of return. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we will see you all on the next video.